So, one question that we're finding ourselves faced with right now is all right, so now we've got labor peace, right? We're labor peace till 2026. Everything's well. Everybody's holding hands. Okay, we're not holding hands. Everybody's respectfully waving to each other from a 6 foot distance. And here we are. Here we are. We're looking at a return to hockey. Now, I've said this summer is kind of a test, it is a trial run. And it'll probably show us how things may look next season and how things end up working next season and possibly for a while. And whether it's finding a way to have games in every location next season somehow, some way. And I'm not sure how you make that safe. I really don't, because having travel the way that it is, I don't know how you would make that safe. You don't have any kind of bubble environment. The likelihood of transmission into the league and just community spread, it's not, it doesn't look good. So for leagues that are trying to just, oh well, we'll just come back and we'll just do our best, I'm saying it's probably not going to work. You're going to have to think outside the box. But there are certain players who may opt out this summer or may be forced out this summer due to underlying condition, and the question is, who opts out and why? Because we don't necessarily know all the medical conditions that players may have. Now, type 1 diabetes, we know, is something that could very well be a disqualifier. And whether it's the NHL saying it's too risky for you to be here or the player saying it's too risky for me to be there, not having Luke Cunnin in the Minnesota lineup does make a difference. Not having Max Domi for the Montreal Canadiens does make a difference. And Kaapo Kakko not being able to resume his rookie season for the New York Rangers makes a difference. Kakko had a rough season offensively, but I do think the talent is still there, and I do think he breaks through next season again, should he come back. Because for players who don't come back this summer, there's a possibility they're not playing next year either. How does this affect RFA negotiations with Max Domi? How does this affect the seasons of these young players and whether or not they're ever able to reach the ceilings that they're perceived to have if they're sidelined indefinitely because of what we're going through? And asthma may very well end up being a disqualifier. There could be tons of players who have asthma in the NHL we have no idea about. No clue. And again, if that's a disqualifier, one thing that may have attributed to George Laraque getting as sick as he did when he had it a couple months ago is asthma. That is quite possibly why he very nearly ended up on a ventilator, and he was worried about losing his life. And again, I pointed this out before, he's younger than I am, a lot bigger than I am, and seeing him battling it like that kind of left me saying, all right, so I'm perfectly fine to stay home as much as possible for as long as is necessary. Cancer survivors. So we've seen instances where people who've survived cancer, who you may look at then and say, all right, well, they're immunocompromised. They may be more vulnerable. So if that's an instance where you could say, yeah, they're more vulnerable, this could affect Arizona's chances. Phil Kessel, being a cancer survivor from his time in Boston. Brian Boyle, of course, famously fighting it off and coming back and being an inspirational story when he did. And this year's inspirational story, Oscar Lindblom. And of course, we know Lindblom's not coming back this summer. But do Boyle or Kessel? Could Phil Kessel call in and say, no, I can't do this. I can't take that risk. And the question then becomes one of, if Kessel did that, if one of these players does that, will they face some sort of negative feedback? Will they face some sort of a backlash, whether it's from public, whether it's from somebody else within the league? Like, this is where it's going to get interesting. The NHL's saying all the right things, but when players actually say, well, we're thinking about opting out, as we're seeing in baseball and basketball, and it's totally understandable, this very well may be the new reality for a while. And again, when I say for a while, I mean 12 months from now, we may still be talking about these kinds of things. Because 2020 is the year that's never going to end. Heart condition, of course, Jay Bouwmeester being the famous one there, collapses during a game this season. But are there other players who may very well be susceptible that we don't know about? Is there another player who may, like Bouwmeester, not even be aware of it? Rich Peverley had no idea. Yuri Fisher. There could be other players who the testing and the doctors, all the work they're going to do here before the players reach training camp or before they get into the hub, say, wait, we found something here on your testing. We can't okay you playing. And high blood pressure could very well be one as well. And there are a lot of people with high blood pressure. I personally know tons of people with high blood pressure. I know my blood pressure's been a little bit high at times myself. So again, and my wife has had asthma. So both of us technically could be people that you would look back and go, well, they had underlying conditions. So clearly, well, Shannon had high blood pressure. And yeah, Yvonne had asthma. Says these are common. These are common underlying conditions. So we may very well see a lot of players get disqualified. And then the other question becomes this. So could there be a situation where testing is done and the doctor goes, well, it's a little bit high, but he's fine. It's not a big deal. And then where does the liability go? So again, I think this is going to be interesting because for players on the board and likely for others, are their careers on hold until the pandemic passes? Are their careers on hold for how long? And what will the cases be like for them to be able to come back? Like, where do we have to see the numbers for them to be able to play? And again, it's going to be very, very interesting to see whether players do opt out or if they say, no, I want to play. I want a shot at a Stanley Cup. Does Phil Kessel say, you know what? I want to prove to Arizona that they made the right choice in bringing me in from Pittsburgh. I'm playing. Forget it. I'm playing. And again, does a doctor look Phil Kessel in the eye and go, we're sorry? And are the doctors going to be given a list of certain situations the NHL wants to avoid, like certain illnesses people may have, certain underlying conditions where the NHL says we don't want these guys in the lineup because of the liability and the risk? Or is it going to be completely and totally up to the medical professionals doing the testing to say, we have decided that these are the situations where players are disqualified from playing? It'll be very interesting to see. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I do apologize for any players that are not on the board. Pesci's the only one I found when I looked up asthma. I couldn't find a list of players who have asthma in the NHL. Because again, that's considered kind of a minor thing in most cases. And it's considered to be more of an annoyance than necessarily life-threatening. But here we are. And so we'll see. We'll see who gets disqualified and who doesn't and how this all works out. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happen upon this video. And hey, 2020 just keeps 2020ing. So when we look at our sports when they've returned, whether it's baseball, football, basketball, hockey, and there's a lot of names missing, that's just 2020. It's just what it does. That's my answer to everything. Anytime I see something completely bizarre, weird, or terrifying, it's 2020. That sounds about right. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I'll talk to you again soon.